the first card you have for your past is the Tower, yes. Horrible thing to have right at the start. Obviously, it's very scary to see this right at the beginning. It's actually not a bad thing to have this as the first card because, it's usually that means it's either happened already, whatever this is, or it's something you're in the middle of and, it's going to pass soon, or you're already passing through this right now. So it's a good thing. It's better to have this at the start than at the end. But yeah, a few different things I'm getting in this Tower, just looking at this. So yeah, the first thing I'm getting is something around work, business. It feels like there's this, with this Tower, it's like there's this crashing down feeling. It's like, oh, and I think that was inside you. I think this is how you're feeling. I think this is how you're feeling when you're watching someone else. Because I'm getting this, someone was getting away with someone was doing something. Because I'm getting this, how do they get away with that? How do they do this? And you're watching them, you're thinking, how are they getting away with this? And, I think in your work, you were doing the right thing. You were doing everything you were supposed to do. And then there was someone else and they were doing all the wrong things, or they were doing something quite wrong. And you were seeing this, you were noticing this, you knew what they were like. But they were climbing, they were able to climb. Maybe they were getting promotions or something like that. And they were climbing and climbing like this Tower. And it looks like maybe you were staying on the same level, or you were kind of sitting there wondering how they're doing that, how they're getting away with all this. And you were doing all the right things. And, my mind boggles because I know someone like this. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I know someone who doesn't pay their taxes. And I look at them and I'm like, and they haven't paid any for years and years. And I look at them and I think, how do they get away with that? How are they doing this year after year? It's not that I want to do that, of course, but my mind, it boggles my mind that someone will get away with something for years and years and years. Someone else will go out and they'll accidentally drop a piece of paper out of their pocket and they'll get a fine. So it's like, why do some people get away with these big things? Anyway. So I think that was what was going through your mind. And it wasn't a joke to you, because I think they were doing something quite serious, actually. And you're watching them and you were thinking, they really should not be doing this. And it feels like they're not getting any justice for what they're doing. You've got justice here as well. But they just seem to be climbing and climbing. It's just not fair. And, the thing about you is, even if you're crashing inside, even if you're feeling really stressed and you're really upset about something, you keep going. You just keep going and going and going. And, in this climate, when a lot of people are losing their jobs and, taking pay cuts and things like that, I think part of it is, just survival. It's like, I just have to keep going. I'd love to say something about this person. I would love to say a million things about this person. But I think now in this climate, I'm just going to keep things as they are, ticking along. I'm just going to keep it all to myself. Like that, you've got the High Priestess here, and she can be about secrets. So I think, usually you don't mind exposing people. You're very honest, you're very open, you're very vocal. You can come out and say, don't do this, don't do that. You're quite open to doing that. But I think at this time, maybe you have this survival mechanism, this survival thing happening. You're like, I'm not sure about my job right now. I'm not sure about my money, all of that kind of thing. So at the moment, it might not be the right time for me to kind of throw a spanner in the works. I'm just going to sit here quietly and wait and see. So I think that's the kind of thing you were doing. And if that's what you were doing, I think you were doing the right thing. Okay, so the other thing I'm getting in this card is, there's love here as well. There's love in this Tower. And normally if there's love in the Tower, obviously it's about a breakup or a breakdown or some horrible thing happening. But I'm not getting that here. I am getting some kind of problem, some kind of block between you. Excuse me. Okay, this might sound a little bit strange. It feels like some kind of barrier. It feels like a language barrier or a cultural barrier, or something like that. And, when I look at this Tower right now, it's making me think of, the Tower of Babel, when everyone spoke different languages and no one could communicate properly. So there's some kind of barrier, and it might not be a literal barrier. It might not be that you do speak different languages. You might speak a different language. You might come from different cultures. But culture's really about, at the way you're brought up, your surroundings, and the way you see the world. And so obviously you see the world in a different way to the way they do, and you speak different languages. It might not literally be a different language, it might be, but it's more like they see things, they express things in one way, you see things and you express things in another way. And that's what this block is that's in between you. And the other kind of cultural thing I'm seeing is, this is what I'm getting very clearly here, you're very open. You like to talk things, you like to get everything out in the open, obviously not with this horrible person in the tower, but that's your survival instinct there. But with this love connection, you like to be very open. I'm getting the feeling that maybe they're not so much like that. So that's causing a little bit of a problem there. So I'll go on to the next card, which is Strength. And this is an absolutely beautiful card. Obviously, this is about you. And I've never seen this before. I'm just looking at this sequence. You've got the Tower and Strength. So I'm getting Tower of Strength, and that's you. You're a Tower of Strength. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And I keep on seeing this person who's rising higher than you in the Tower. It looks like they are. And it's just not fair. It really is not fair. I think there'll probably be another Tower moment that comes up for this person at some time. I really do. I'm seeing that there. And you've got Justice here as well. So I think that might happen for them. So I think sitting tight is really the best thing you could be doing right now. And, it might be that when you start to feel a little bit more secure in your position, in your work, you might come and say something. It might be that as well. Because I think you'd like to do that, because that's what I'm getting in this card. Because you've got this woman taming this lion. And, I think that's what's going on in your head, this backwards and forwards. It's like, I really want to be the lion. I really want to come out and roar at this person and yell at them and yell at the unfairness and all that kind of thing. But then, there's this part of you that's like this woman as well, telling yourself to calm down. Don't say anything right now. Just lay low. Things might backfire. Just sit there quietly. So you've got this kind of backwards and forwards thing going on in your head. And but yeah, again, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing because of your position. I'm not saying you've got an insecure position, but I don't think anyone's positions right now, money-wise, are super, super secure. Mine isn't. Mine really isn't. And for that reason, I'm just doing a very similar thing right now. So it might be that, that's what you're doing. And if you are, that's the right thing once again. Watching, I'm seeing, watching, waiting, just waiting to see if the right moment comes up. I'm just getting this. You might want to take notes on this person. It sounds horrible. It sounds like you're spying on them, but I think it might be the right thing to do. Just collect things. If you see emails, if you see texts they send or whatever, they send you things. If you see things they're doing, I'd just do that just to kind of make a note of things, because I'm getting a little bit of, I don't know, it's something quite dodgy. It might be corruption even. It might be something like that. And again, looking at the Justice card here. So that's telling me that you might need to collect evidence. You might not need it, but just in case you do. So that's something I'd think about doing as well if this is resonating with you. Anyway, the last card you have you passed is the Ten of Wands. So I don't mean for this to be a work reading, but it's turning into work. Obviously, this man's working really, really hard, back-breaking work. And, you're still doing this. You're working hard as you can. If you're in an actual workplace, even if you're working at home, it probably looks to all of your colleagues, including this Tower person, that, you've just got your head down, you're just minding your own business, you're hard at work and all that. But there's a lot going on inside your head, First, you've got all this business with this Tower person, you've got that, you're thinking about that. It's stressing you out a bit. If that's you, I'm getting that. The other thing is, I think you're stressed at your whole workplace, because if they're letting this happen, surely if you can see this, they can see this, or someone can, but they're just letting this happen. And then you've got this kind of thing of, well, if they're letting this happen, they're letting this person get away with this, then do I really want to work around these people that think this is okay? So you've got all of that as well. So it might be that you might eventually move away from this workplace, or you're thinking about that, or you're looking at options. I've seen this in your readings before, I think. And but you might have halted that. You might have gone looking for other things, but you might have halted that because of the situation we're all in right now. But that's coming to an end soon. That's coming to an end soon, or some of it is. Some things are being lifted, so you're going to have more opportunities if you are looking for other work or something like that. But yeah, I think also it's not just with this workplace and this Tower person. I think you've had a lot of people around you who have really been out for themselves, like this Tower person. They've been like, oh, I just care about myself. I don't care about anyone else. I don't care who I hurt. You've had a few of those kinds of people around you. And I think seeing this person in the Tower card might be a bit of the last straw for you. It might be like, no, I've had enough of these people. I can't be around them anymore. I'm going to try and remove myself from as many as I can. So you've got a bit of that happening as well. Lots of this is going around in your head. And yeah, so that's what I'm getting. So I think what's going to happen is you are going to do whatever you can gradually to move away from anyone that's like this. And I really do think gradually or eventually or at some time, you might actually move away from this workplace. But before you do that, I do think that something's going to come out about them. Either you're going to say something or something's going to happen where people will see what they're like. I'm getting something like that around this. Anyway, so the first card you have for present is the Eight of Wands. Yeah, this is what I'm getting in this. I'm getting trying really, 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 really hard. This is all about action. This is all about making an effort, big effort. I'm going to take action. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And all these wands, sometimes they can be about messages or talking, conversations. So I think someone was really, really, really trying to have a conversation. And I think this is about this love connection. I think this is about you talking to this person, talking to your love, and you were saying to them, no, I really want to find something out. I really want you to open this up. And I keep on getting this different cultures, different ways of speaking, different ways of communicating. So I think that was a little bit of a problem here. And the Tower's right next to this as well. So yeah, I'm getting lots of conversations. So it looks like you've had lots of conversations with them. You're trying to get them to open up about something. This is what I'm getting. And then so you had all these conversations and then there was a stop. It's like, no, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. And I think that's what they did. I think you had all these conversations and they just said, no, I'm not talking about this anymore. That's the end. And they might have even, because I'm seeing this as well, they might have even put their hand up. Because I'm seeing a hand going up, stopping these ones. So they might have said, no more, putting my hand up. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I've had enough of this. And they weren't opening up. And then they said, no, I'm not even going to talk about this anymore. So that's a bigger struggle. So firstly, you couldn't get them to open up. And then you couldn't even get them to talk about this anymore, if this is you. But the thing about this is, whatever this subject was that you wanted them to open up about, it feels as if it was really, really, really important to you. Really, really important. And what I'm getting is, it started off, I hope this is going to make sense. It started off as being about an actual thing you wanted them to open up about. It was an actual subject, an actual particular thing. But then it ended up like, well, if they loved me, if they really loved me, they would open up. They wouldn't hide this. So it became more about that. So it was about the subject, and it became more about, well, do they really love me then, if they're not going to do this for me? So yeah, I'm getting a bit of vague talk as well. So I think they might have said something vague about this. Maybe they thought you'd be fine with that, but you weren't fine with that. You wanted to talk on and on, like all these wands. You wanted to say more and more things because you wanted them to get to the essence, the depth of whatever this was. You wanted them to open up about this. And you wanted them to want to do that. You wanted them to think, okay, I love this person. This is what they want. This is what they need. I'm going to give them that. But they didn't do that. And I think that was really stressing you out. What you've got to realize is, because I'm seeing this all over this reading, either they're from a different culture, a different background, or they've got a different way of seeing things, a different worldview, and they're not taking that into account about you. And I think you're not doing that about them as well. Because what I'm getting here is, there's growth here. There's growth. There's potential. This can work. This love can work. It absolutely can work. I'm feeling that here. You can see all this growth on these wands. Okay, this is something else I'm getting about them. There's a bit of shame, there's a bit of embarrassment here. And again, I'm seeing these different cultures. So it might be that if they feel shame or embarrassment about something, they want to brush it under the carpet. They don't like to bring it out. And I think as a Leo, you want to lay things out on the table. You want to be open, you want to be honest. But yeah, I just think they didn't want to open about this, and they decided to back away over this. And there's some kind of shame or there's some kind of embarrassment about them. I don't know what this is right now. It might come out later, I don't know. But that's the kind of feeling I'm getting around them. And I'm going to talk about the High Priestess here as well, because that can be about secrets or hiding sometimes. So, the thing is, they wanted to hide this. They didn't want to talk about this. And, the thing about you is, once you've got an itch, you have to scratch it. So once you've kind of got something on your mind, you have to get to the end of it. You have to get to the bottom of things. And I think that's why you're doing all this talking, if this is resonating with you. And they were thinking, well, the more they talk, the more they're on about this, the less I want to talk about this, and the more shame I feel and the more stress I feel. So it makes me want to run away. So that's the difference between you that I'm getting. And I just want to tell you this, if this is all resonating with you, I don't think there really is anything to be suspicious about. If you're suspicious about them, if you're worried about them, if you feel like there's some jealousy here, if you feel like they might be hiding that they're seeing someone else or they've done something wrong, I'm really not getting that feeling here. I'm really not getting that at all. And, if you look at this whole spread, there's no Seven of Wands. There's no Seven of Swords, I should say. There's no Five of Swords. I don't know why I'm saying seven. There's no Five of Swords. There's no Seven of Swords. There's nothing like that. There's no Devil. There's none of that here. There's none of that here. This is all quite peaceful, apart from the Tower. You've got the High Priestess. You've got the Hanged Man. You've got the Knight of Cups. You've got quite peaceful things here. So I don't think there's anything to be suspicious about. I really, really don't. If this is your situation, it might not be. You might be in a situation where there is suspicion. But if this is your reading, if this is about you, if this is resonating with you, I'm really, really not getting anything like that. And I have to say that. Something's making me say that over and over again. Over and over and over again. Now, I really think eventually you might have a talk with them, and I really think that you're going to get under the surface of this and you're going to realize that there's nothing bad there. Because I think on the surface it might look a bit suspicious because you're trying to talk to them and they're not giving you the answer that you want. And it looks like they're hiding, and the more you talk, the more they hide. That's kind of what I'm getting. But it's not what you're imagining. If you're imagining something bad or something terrible, it's not what you're imagining. And I think once you see under the surface of this, and I think you will eventually, I think you'll probably have some kind of talk about this eventually, you'll find out what this is and you'll realize it's not that bad. And you've got the Strength card right next to this. So I think if you're going to have a conversation with them, and I think you will, if you love them, if you've got feelings for them, and you both do, I can see lots of love here. You can see that in the Strength card. If you're going to do this, if you're going to have this conversation, be kinder to each other. Be kinder and recognize these different approaches that you have, and recognize these different cultures that you have. So that's, and if you're kinder, I'm not just saying you're horrible to them, but I'm saying if both of you are kinder to each other and you both understand each other, I think that's probably what's going to start them opening this up for you. So it's going to have a good effect. It's going to make them feel better, you feel better, and eventually they are going to open up. And I think they will, and I think you'll find out what this thing is. So the last card you have your present is Justice. Okay, this is really, really interesting because it's really interesting seeing these two cards together, the High Priestess and the Justice card, because you've got these two curtains here. There's a curtain behind, the High Priestess. There's one behind the woman in the Justice card. So, yeah, two curtains are going to calm down. So I think this person in the Tower card, something's going to be revealed about them. It's going to come out. It's all going to be revealed. And there's two different lots of reveal, if that makes sense. So I'll try and explain this. So there are two curtains here. So behind the fast curtain, which is the high priestess, it sounds like a game show, behind the fast curtain. Anyway, so behind the fast curtain, the first thing's going to be exposed before the second thing. So we've got one thing happening, then the next thing. And when this first thing's exposed, so I just want to prepare you for this. It might not be what you're expecting. So you might be thinking, oh, this is all going to be revealed. Everyone's going to see what they're like. No, it's only going to be a little thing to start with. And you might be a little bit upset even by this. You might think, well, that's not fair. That's not right. I thought they were going to be exposed and just a tiny bit's exposed. And that's not really what I know. I know a lot more than this. So there's all that I'm getting now. But there's another exposure that's going to come after that. And when the other one comes, it's a lot bigger. And you're going to feel a lot more satisfied after the second one happens. So there's a huge relief after that. And so what it's like, the first thing happens, the first thing's exposed, that's the tip of the iceberg. The second thing's exposed, that is the rest of the iceberg. That's the kind of thing I'm getting there. And you're going to see this happen. You're going to see this happen. So if the first thing happens, don't be upset because there's another one coming and there's a relief for you. I think it might be that they leave, or that they're asked to leave, or they disappear, or they go, or something like that happens. That's what I'm getting. I'm literally seeing that. Okay, so the first card you have your future is the Knight of Cups. Beautiful card. You see, this is about this conversation you're going to have, and it feels really gentle, really, really nice actually. Gently opening up. Yeah, I think they're quite proud actually, this love connection. They're a very proud person, and I think maybe this is partly why they weren't backing down. They didn't want to open up. They're very, very, very proud, and they've got this kind of feeling of shame, and they don't want to expose that. It's like, no, I don't want to expose myself. I don't want them to see that side of me. Because if you look at this knight, he's beautifully dressed. Look at that, beautifully dressed. His back's very, very straight, very proud person. So they're very, very, very proud. And that's part of this distance between you, or this difference between you as well. I'm not saying you're not proud. You are. You're a lion. You're very proud. You're Leo. But they're proud in a different way. A very, very different way to you. And, the thing about this knight as well is he's coming forward very slowly. Very, very, very slowly. But he's offering love. He's offering love. So there's love here. There's going to be love between you, or there is already, and there's going to be more coming after you have this talk or around this time. Very slow, very, very gentle. And I'm just looking at this mountain in front of this knight, and I've never noticed this on this card before actually, because I always see this mountain as being, really, really barren, nothing there. But actually, now that I look at this, there's a group of trees right at the top of this hill. A little tiny group of trees right at the top. So what that's showing me is there's growth there. There's growth between you, but there's work that has to go in before this, before you get to the growth. So it's like climbing up this big mountain and then you get to the growth. So it looks like what's going to happen is you'll get to that growth after this problem's solved.